understanding why that might be. Why are Mondays traditionally worse? Is it because there are little or lack of boundaries at a weekend? And Jonathan said Mondays are pretty challenging, and Wednesday afternoons bring their issues as well. All right. Any reason, Jonathan, that for Wednesday afternoon? Have you gauged any idea of why that might be? I think the other thing that's interesting while we're just Friday PM, yeah. Interesting just to come what Joanne says there. It's interesting to understand as well that for some students, I think this is very important to understand. For some students, Fridays or the day before a holiday, especially 6 weeks holiday, for some students are amazing because it's great. They're going to do this the weekend. They're going to see their parents. They're going to go home. For some students, it's a nightmare because some students don't have good home lives. Some students don't want to be at home at the weekend. They don't want the 6 weeks holiday. There's a lot of uncertainty, and school is their safe place. School has structure. School has boundaries. School has support. School has 4 walls and a roof and heating and everything else. And we need to remember that some students act up the week or the day before the holidays because of that emotional turmoil that they know they're going to go through. And that's really important to understand that. And that's where a good leader and a good teacher knows different individual students. And, that we need to understand that for some students, there may be a trigger. And rather than just throwing the book at them, we need to understand that, well, let's why is this? Why is this happening? Let's go back to their records. Hang on a second. Every Friday afternoon there's an issue. Or every day before a holiday there's been an issue with this student. Well, hang on, that's a little bit coincidental. Why is this? Let's speak to the student. Are they happy about going home? Do they want to go home? Are they looking forward to their 6 weeks holiday? What are they going to be doing? Where are they going to be? Well, let's face it, a lot of students are not in the same position as a lot of other ones. And, that's, and, like Anthony's saying there, some students will even get detention on purpose to stay in school. And that's a really awful and sad place to be. But we need to understand that because the holidays and the weekends and the nights aren't amazing for everyone. So just bear that in mind, please. And take that forward into whichever role you have and make sure we understand that and we do the best for our students. All right, let's move on then at a pace. Home-school partnerships. I think I mentioned earlier on about a triangulation between home, school, and students. Or home, teachers, and students, should I say. And it's important because I definitely mentioned earlier about that a lot of our parents may have a negative impression of school from their days at school. And as we know, schools and education has changed vastly over the last sort of 15, 20, 30 years. And we need to make sure that we give the students, we give the parents confidence that school has definitely changed. And we need to really build and bridge those effective relationships. We're not going to do it on our own, and support from home is essential. It is absolutely essential. If kids aren't going to listen to their parents at home, and the parents can't control them, what chance do we have in school? Because we're not the ones that buy their clothes. We're not the ones that feed them. We're not the ones that put the roof over their head. So, if they're not going to listen to their parents and the parents aren't going to support them and they're not going to support us, then it's going to be very, very difficult for us as teachers to do that in the limited time we have with them. So we need to develop trust. We need to develop a relationship where the parents trust us as a school, and that's sometimes very difficult because, as we know, a lot of parents think or look through rose-tinted glasses at their own children, and they can never do anything wrong, and it's the school's fault, and it's all this sort of stuff. In an ideal world, we get to a situation where the parent knows that if we have to phone, that there is a proper issue, and they will trust us that that there has been an issue, we are dealing with it, but you need to understand that this is what's happened, rather than just not believing us, siding with their kid all the time, and we never get any further forward. But to get to that point, we need to work with parents and not against them. And one of the great bits of advice that I was given in my early days as a head of year, about 8 or 9 years ago, was that you know the kids that are going to cause problems. You know the kids that come with history. You know the kids that you're going to be phoning home for across the year that are going to be in trouble. The first chance you get to ring home for that student and praise them, doesn't matter what they've done, the first chance you get, do it. Because what it does, it sets up that relationship. It sets up that trust. So that the first time you're ringing home isn't on a negative basis. Because if it's the first time you ever phone home and it's a negative, then they're going to see the school and you as in a negative light. If you phone home on a positive note, the next time you phone home as a negative, then the parents know and they trust you and they understand, oh, well, I know you phoned home before about this, and it was great the first time. They're going to have a lot more trust and confidence in you, and that relationship's been built. So I would urge you to ring home as many times as you can for positive rewards for those type of students, because it gets parents on board, and you can have those nice conversations where you can laugh and joke with them rather than just the negative ones all the time. And that goes a long way to developing that trust. So do as much as you can to build those relationships and to really work with parents, because you need the parents. We need them to support you at home, and we need to then include them in the sanctions as well. And don't be afraid to say, we would like you to do this at home. And it'd be really great if you didn't let him out tonight, or what can you do at home to support us here? Oh well, I can take his Xbox out of the room. Like, brilliant. Whatever it is, and work with them. Discuss different alternatives at home, and how can we support you in school? I hear you're having a tough time at home as well. What can we do in school? We're trying to do this together. Bring the parent in. Speak to them, and again, it's let's work together to solve this issue. We're not ringing you, telling you off because you've been a bad parent. We need to change that emphasis around that. We're working together on this, and we can't do it without you. You can't do it without us. We both need each other. We both need to work together. And it's careful language. It's ringing at the right times, developing that trust, and then ringing every time there's a positive as well, which is it really goes a long way. We sometimes forget that in the hectic day and work-life balance that we have. All right, reducing exclusions. The government have got a bit in the bonnet about this at the moment. And I don't tend to agree with it, but I will tell you my thoughts on what the government think, and we can maybe discuss this. In Raise Online now, there are sections about exclusions, and it has a table about how many exclusions you've had in the year, how many students you've excluded, and how many number of exclusions total you've had. And really, Ofsted are looking at schools reducing their exclusions. And I've sat in meetings before where I've despaired with people around the county saying exclusion figures are down, therefore that means behaviour is better. And I really just don't agree with that. Because I could quite easily not exclude anyone at school and show some figures that suggested our behaviour was better because of it. We all know that's rubbish. And I believe that when you need to exclude, you need to. And actually, a school that has high exclusion figures potentially could be quite proud of their exclusion figures, because they could say, we don't take any rubbish from kids. We have a hard line. We have high behavior. We have high standards. And that because of our high exclusions, anyone can come into our school and they will see brilliant behaviour. I think a school that doesn't exclude many students and that has issues in the school and tries to fudge their way through meetings with saying their figures are dropping and stuff, then it's a difficult position to be in. However, saying that, we are charged as a school or as schools with reducing exclusions. And there are many ways to do that. And I'm going to come to those in a second. But exclusion should be the last resort. It should be when you have no other alternative. And far too many staff think that we can just exclude at the drop of a hat. And that goes back to our communication section. You need to challenge your staff, and you need to make sure they're aware that exclusion should be in the last possible resort. And is there anything else we can do? It shouldn't just be let's just kick kids out left, right, and centre, because we're not doing them. We're doing them a disservice. We're not doing anything with education. And let's face it, a lot of students probably want to get excluded sometimes because they know they're going to be at home in their bedroom on their Xbox, or they're going to be wandering on the street, or they're going to be doing whatever they want. So we need to think of something that's going to be You know, it's going to really put them out, and it's going to be uncomfortable for them. So my question to you, to throw it open to you, is, as a school, what do you do at the moment to reduce exclusions? What alternatives do you have for exclusions?